Hi, my name's Kylie and I work at the University of Wollongong. I studied extension history when I was at high school and absolutely loved it. I was fortunate enough to get a band 6 and full marks in my extension history piece, and I really enjoyed it so much that I ended up going on to study history at the University of Wollongong doing a Bachelor of Arts. So today I'm here to have a chat to you about my tips in approaching the extension history project and to share a bit of advice with you around selecting resources, choosing your topic and how to create a good argument through your extension history piece. So my first tip is to give you some advice about choosing your extension history topic. If you have a look at the extension history syllabus, it actually says that your topic should be chosen based on something that you're really interested in, but also it should be a topic that you will look really deeply into and analyse, not something that is a completely different topic or something altogether. Some ideas in how to get your topic is to have a look at what you enjoyed doing in your modern history or ancient history subjects, and maybe picking out a topic or something that you covered during one of those subjects and looking more deeply into it. So when I was doing modern history, I really enjoyed learning about World War II. And so I chose my topic, it was based loosely around World War II, but I really looked quite deeply at the experience of one particular soldier and how that related to the experiences of all soldiers as it was depicted in the literature. So I think that was really a really important way for me to make sure that I was analysing and looking really deeply into one particular topic, but at the same time was, pick something that I really enjoyed and really wanted to learn more about. So your sources are going to be really important in building an argument around your extension history topic. So once again, if you take a look at the extension history syllabus, it's really asking you to look critically at the piece of history that you're writing about and to see, to analyse that piece of history using as many sources as possible. How I went about doing that is that when I looked at World War II and the experience of one particular soldier, I did a series of interviews and with that particular soldier who fought in World War II. And then what I went away and did is comparatively analysed his experiences with all the other experiences that were talked about in the literature. And so finding primary and secondary resources and sources that backed up what the soldier was saying, but also some that were different as well, to kind of demonstrate that history has a lot of different meanings, and that the perspective of one person is that person's history. It's maybe not quite indicative of everyone's history. And so I think what was really important in using those primary and secondary resources was to differentiate what was history. And history is really about people's perspectives on what happened, and then what is the past. And that's really the difference. About the past is really, what actually happened. So I used a lot of resources from the State Library in New South Wales, and I went down to the Australian War Memorial. And so using primary resources like journal entries of soldiers, of historical books that were written by journalists who were there on the front of the war and things like that, really gave my piece and my extension history piece a real edge, because it drew upon not only current books that were written in libraries and things like that, but it drew on a lot of people's different perspectives of what happened in World War II that particular soldier had experienced. So my third tip for you is about how to build a really strong argument in your extension history assignments. So, and this is something that I did when I was doing extension history, but something that I think which I also got better at when I was studying at university. And that was, you have a particular thesis or a particular argument that you want to get across, and it's really important to be stating that really upfront in your essays or in your paragraphs about what that particular direction or argument is. What was equally as important was to find a number of different resources that backed up that argument, and to provide really key concrete examples of how that argument you know, was either right or wrong. And so using your primary and secondary resources, so like I said, whether it was journals of, you know, people who were there, and primary sources of people who were there, or whether it is books, secondary resources, so books that people have written based on the perspectives of others. Finding resources that back up what you're saying is really important. And so how I kind of structured my extension history piece was that I would articulate what my thesis or my argument was, and then I would use 2 or 3 different sources to back up that argument. So that was really important in demonstrating that my argument was really valid. What I also did in my essays is that I also recognised that there were other perspectives, and that's a really important part of history because as your teachers will probably tell you, there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer to what happened in history, but it's the perspectives of people. So it's really important for you in getting your thesis across is to use the perspectives and arguments by other people to back up what you're saying. So there's plenty of more resources about extension history down the bottom of the page, but also if you have any other resources that you would like to add and share with your fellow classmates, it's a really good place for you guys to share ideas. So best of luck with your HSC. I hope you really love doing your extension history project as much as I did, and you know, if you really love history, then there's certainly opportunities for you to continue to pursue that passion once you're at university.